My honeybee. What a nest of vipers I have uncovered. You've punctured my veins and already I feel the venom circulate. I am limp and sterile as you coil my body, yet I feel as if I watch the mortal world from the heights of Olympus. It is interesting that you bring such sentiments of the abyss to mind. I presume the abyss to be death, and if so, then is not teetering over its edge any different from when we make love? I surrender myself to an ephemeral stupor, drowning in the opium of Eros. I close my eyes as we lap tongues. I am ready to be consumed by you. Perhaps a viper is not an accurate representation. In that case, there are creatures from Asia referred to as pythons who, by some blessing from the gods, can swallow an entire deer whole. When Eros allows me to release, you crush my bones and devour me like the python. Even an apex predator cannot feast upon the same meager cuisine forever. After all, you are the master of the food chain. What good is there in being on top if nothing is there to pose a threat? What a hollow title it would be if it could not be snatched away or swallowed whole by a bigger snake. It appears you have reached said stage, and I trust this boy was a decent enough meal. Or do I rightly suspect the germination of restlessness within your stomach? Greedy little thing. You would slurp up the blood of Rome as I butcher its carcass. I would not be able to ascertain if I wish to scream or laugh. Perhaps the only option is both. Perhaps there is little difference. As a child screams as he rides a horse for the first time, but cannot help but exclaim with joy as he glides through the fields. Do you not see what you do? My duty is to protect and nourish the empire, yet you seduce the worst revelries within. For instead I wish to burn it all to the ground and fuck you over its corpse.
My mouse. My, what a sly little mouse. If you are master of the world, does that make me its mistress? Here was me thinking you are a paragon of Roman virtue, but you are little but a plague-ridden degenerate, are you not? Stumbling through this rotting infirmary of the world, desperate for a miracle tonic to avail you of all woe. Instead, there is only the amputator with the blunt saw at the ready, with a pipe of hemp and jar of leeches to gutter any resistance. The blood will congeal, the eyes droop, and words are chopped into cutlets. Fear shall squeeze its grip upon you at first, but soon enough an alien epiphany enters, the realization that you never needed nor wanted that sense and reason to begin with. You longed for the mind to slush and condense, to dribble and grovel like a fool before a goddess. You are ashamed, but can no longer deny this desire to pawn away reason. As a cynical salesman, I cannot help but cheat you. I cannot for the life of me figure out a possible usage for such an object, but it brings me great pleasure regardless. Do you think such callousness runs in the family, Claudius? Our blood is not all too thin apart if he were to cut us open. We are cousins after all. The seeds of subversion were sown into our souls long before conception. As Jupiter ordained the cruel and necessary journey of Aeneas, so he does with our miserable etching of an existence. He decided it would be uproarious if the mightiest race of men were to be ruled by an impotent cripple. He decided that Venus shall starve me of rapture, giving the occasional lash of euphoria. Enough to feel something, but not enough that I can ever hope for contentment. I paid a Stoic for his thoughts on this issue. He told the usual trope. Ah, the curse of the hairy ones, doomed to have everything they could want and nothing of what they need, so on and so forth. As he froths at the mouth, I can see something he cannot. He is just like me. He craves what he can only dream for. He demands my attention, and when I give it, his body will tingle with excretion as it edges to the apogee. His words are regurgitated clichés ripped from the pages of Homer or Hesiod, some Greek beginning with an H. Unlike a nest of sparrows, this is a meal I will happily turn down and starve without. Even so, I find my sleep troubled by this nonsense. I have kicked out a lover or two in a panic over it. Everyone and their mother knows the hairy ones are the Caesars. Our great-uncle Julius had the world at his feet, as do you, yet it was never enough. He just had to become dictator for life, just had to wear the regal sandals to the Senate. Brutus was not some evil reprobate. He plunged a dagger into Julius because his reckless actions solidified his fate. His son by adoption, great-grandfather Augustus, knew the Senate was helpless and that his stupid, humble act would not be taken by them. He knew they allowed him absolute power that they no longer wanted. His restlessness led to an entire legion being wiped out in Teutoburg. Uncle Tiberius was startled at the thought of his people hating his guts to the point that even the most harmless of slights was met with a cacophony of trials and executions until the dread transformed into reality. Reviled and detested, he retreated to Capri to whittle away the days in the embrace of handsome little boys who could kiss his cherry stem and stroke his balding head. Need I remind you of your nephew who preceded him? The one who tied our fates together to begin with? Little Boots, Caligula, son of Germanicus and all that Roman nonsense. The people loved him because of his father. The Senate threw all their chips behind his wild card. Was there ever a more blissful position one could hope to attain? Yet he crumpled it up like a writer disgusted at a first draft. He needed more. It was not eligible to be thought as merely prince of all men. No, Little Boots had to be Jupiter himself. He could not have just any woman in Rome. He had to have his sister. The prophets of yore foretold that he would never be emperor until a man galloped across the ocean waves on horseback. So naturally, he takes all of the ships in the empire, ties them together, and rides upon the most expensive and useless bridge in history. Debauching the treasury just to wipe the smug grin off a wrinkled face. Typical Caesar. You, on the other hand, appear different. You hide while the others stride along, smashing the worthwhile. You save, the others squandered. The others wanted to crush, you wished to be crushed. You did not pursue your sister, you chose your cousin. Perhaps the tables are turning for our family. The women are restless and the men timid. It is striking to me also that the Roman people seem to have a lot in common with you. After all, why do you think Uncle Julius resurrected the throne? He beat Pompey, of course, but it runs deeper than mere boys and their toy soldiers. The people of this great city wanted him. They desired his heel upon their back. As time fluttered, the heel would dig in and the city would let out a moan of gratitude. They did not, and still do not want that heel sheathed from the spine. Uncle Julius would often blabber that the slaves took all the work from honest Romans, that the plebeians cried out for a liberator, the patricians for a man on a white stallion. An obelisk of lies. To be a slave is the height of success, the dream of life. To not make the difficult choices, to avoid complex politics, to have your life planned and safety nets to secure any unexpected falls. The people crave it more than they wish to admit. When given power, few mortal men can refrain from destroying themselves.